As many of you are aware, the Leesburg City Commission held a meeting on April 14, 2025. Two agenda items were of particular importance to our communities in South Leesburg. The first was a vote on a proposed moratorium for rezonings and annexation, and the second concerned the approval of the Leatherleaf community development on Route 48, just west of the Publix on Route 27. As you know by now, the Commission voted against the moratorium and approved the Leatherleaf project despite existing concerns about traffic congestion and poor road conditions in that area. However, the most concerning moment of the meeting occurred after 3 hours, at about the 3-hour and 26-minute mark, after most attendees had left. I strongly encourage you to watch this portion of the meeting. You can find the link for the full meeting in the video description, or you can watch the end of the meeting that I will include at the end of this video. During the segment, Commissioner Cannell addresses what he believes to be inappropriate and borderline unethical behavior within the City Commission and the City Manager. City Manager Al Minner took the unusual and questionable step of polling only 3 of the 5 commissioners to craft a statement opposing the moratorium, which he then released to the Daily Commercial prior to the meeting. This was entirely inappropriate, as the Commission had not yet voted, and their collective position would have been made clear through that vote. By acting unilaterally and with only partial input, the City Manager presented a misleading representation of the Commission's stance, effectively sidelining Commissioners Berry and Cannell. This raises serious concerns about a small group of commissioners seemingly working behind the scenes to control the direction of our city without transparency or full participation. During the open discussion on the moratorium, Lake County Commissioner Leslie Campione spoke up, urging the city to collaborate with the County Commission on annexation and rezoning decisions, emphasizing how essential that partnership is for the future of both the city and the county. The response from the Commission? That's right, silence. It appears they have little interest in working collaboratively and would rather move forward recklessly with development plans, expecting the county to deal with the consequences. Frankly, the Commission is behaving like an immature, insensitive, and inept child, ignoring the consequences of their decisions, then turning to the county to fix the mess they created. This kind of leadership is unacceptable and must come to an end. We, as a community, need to be vigilant and proactive in replacing the 3 commissioners who have contributed to this dysfunction when they are up for re-election. Fortunately, Commissioner Peterson is term limited and will not be returning. Unfortunately, Commissioner Berry still has over 3 years left in his term, but fortunately, he is also term limited. And in a couple of years, we'll have the opportunity to replace Mayor Reisman, who has shown little independent leadership, often opting to instead follow the leads of Peterson and Berry in silence. Leesburg deserves leaders who are guided by principle, not pressure from developers who have no investment in our community beyond profit. We need commissioners who listen to their constituents, who act with integrity, and who put the well-being of our city first. Thank you. Now, here is that section of video.
That's it for me.
Yeah, you know, she's done.
Commissioner Cunningham?
Yes, I have one thing. There was a statement released middle part last week from the city manager concerning the city's stance on this resolution that was proposed and voted on earlier tonight. And the stance was recommended a denial. I wasn't sure why the city manager felt like he needed to weigh in on such a controversial decision in the middle of the week. So I did speak with him. The conversation was that he was basically given a directive from the commission to release a statement. My question was, how are you given a statement or a directive when we have not had a commission meeting? I'm going to assume he's polled commissioners and got 3 votes to go on record to make a public statement, which I find to be completely out of line, unprofessional, and borderline unethical. I'd like to know tonight, what commissioners did he speak with and get a positive vote, if you will, to move forward to release a public statement on the city's stance on this resolution. Can I see a raise of hands on what commissioners were spoke to about this?
I think that response is a lot. I think the city manager talks to all of us. Yeah.
I'll tell you, he did not include me in this conversation. Commissioner Berry, were you included?
I'm not sure what you're asking. so I'm gonna say-
Did the city manager call you last week and ask you where you stood on this resolution, and before he released a public comment on the city's stance on him recommending a denial on the vote? Did he speak to you? Okay, so he didn't speak to me, he didn't speak to you. He spoke to Commissioner Burry here. What other commissioners did he speak to?
I speak to Al about so many issues.
Okay, so he spoke to you too, Commissioner.
I said, I don't know.
You don't
I
recall?
don't recall, sorry.
Really? From 5 days ago?
I talked to Al quite a bit about a lot of matters. City manager about this multiple times, and
Okay, so he spoke to two, and I'm gonna guess he spoke to Commissioner Peterson about it. He left myself and yourself, Commissioner Barry, out of the conversation. Did he call you last week and ask you which way you stood on the resolution? Commissioner Barry? Okay, so he didn't call me and he didn't call you. He called these three commissioners and formed a consensus to go on record. Now, I don't know about you, Commissioner Barry. I find it extremely offensive, unprofessional, and lack of respect that me or you were not involved in this conversation. He only consulted three of the commissioners and not myself or you to go on record. I'm not sure why he even felt like he needed to go on record, but I think you ought to take a look at this too, because he left you out of the conversation also.
Sorry, I'm not even sure what the conversation is referencing, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay, he went on record and made a statement publicly to the Daily Commercial
Oh.
that he was proposing to vote against this resolution tonight. I question why he felt the need to go on record to make that statement publicly. I was informed by him that he was given a directive by the commission. I question how he was given a directive when we had no meeting. So I'm polling, if you will, tonight in a public meeting, which is okay to poll in a public meeting, to find out what commissioners gave him this directive. He did not speak to me, and I'm getting it, he did not speak to you. He spoke to the other three commissioners, left me and you out of that conversation. For an FYI, I want you to know that me and you are apparently out of the loop when it comes to decisions the city manager wants to make. He's not consulting with us.
so I think that's his professional opinion, and I could say the same thing about you, Commissioner Connell. You asked for a resolution to be put on the table without having any prior discussion with the commissioners.
I don't have to get permission.
You don't,
from-
there should have been public.
No, there should not have, Alan.
About.
There should have not been. It went on to the agenda for discussion. What the city manager
Could have
did
easily
was
been a workshop,
without
right.
discussion. There's a difference there.
Mr. Commissioner, would we be having this discussion if I made a recommendation to vote for?
Yes, I strongly believe that you, before you make any recommendation, all the commissioners should be consulted before you go on record to make a public announcement of
Isn't
one
there-
way or the other.
Isn't there a staff recommendation on every issue that comes?
On something like this out, the staff recommendation.
Doesn't Dan Miller's office
Does Dan's
give a
not going to the,
Hey,
Dan's
we're
not
not-
going to the
we're
Daily
not-
Commercial to make a statement. He's
Commissioner
putting a
Connell.
staff memo out.
We're not
You
gonna
could have put a
change
staff
that.
memo out. You chose to go to the Daily Commercial. There is a difference.
When did you talk to the Daily Commercial?
I read it in the Daily Commercial.
Friday.
Yeah.
When did my staff report come out?
I don't know.
Because you didn't read the packet,
Well,
which
because-
comes out on Wednesday.
No, I know when the packet came out. You actually emailed the thing out Friday night. Actually, it was 30 minutes after the conversation I had with
I
you.
mailed out my presentation.
The
Yeah,
presentation.
exactly. The presentation came out 30 minutes
Staff-
after I had this
staff-
conversation with you,
The staff recommendation came.
which I thought was coincidental.
Wednesday when the.
I
agenda
made my
package came out.
point.
Okay.
Can I make my point, Mr. Mayor? So the commissioner accused me of polling the commission, which I think needs to be responded to. As your city manager, I have a responsibility to make recommendations on things that are controversial and non-controversial. And that's what I did. Did I consult Commissioner Cannell prior to making my recommendation? No. Did I talk with Commissioner Cannell? Yeah, I obviously did because he asked me to put the item on the agenda. As news came out, each and every one of you talked to me about this topic. Each and every one of you expressed opinions to me about where you stood or had questions about this matter. 2 of you directly told me to have a presentation about data on growth. That I did. That's what I did. I did not poll the city commission. I was not a conduit to the sunshine. I did my job. I'm sorry that the commissioner didn't like how I did my job. I'm sorry that the commissioner didn't like my recommendation. I find it ironic and would bet that we would have never had this conversation had I made a recommendation the other way.
Don't assume, Al, you know what that means. And I would also, again, Commissioner Barrett, you were not involved or privy to any conversation with the city manager concerning before he did that either. So I just want to make sure you're aware. Me and you were outside the loop here. Apparently there's 3 commissioners running the show, and me and you are just here for just purposes to have a quorum.